Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Positive Girl podcast with me, Sabrina. This is the show that helps you become your best self, and today we are talking about how to manage anxiety as a mom, tips for dealing with anxiety. But before we jump into that, I want to remind you that I would love to become friends with you online. If you would like to be friends on TikTok or Instagram, I am at Sabrina Joy Perozo. And now TikTok allows you to DM people regardless of being each other's friend. So now you can DM me both on Instagram and TikTok. So I look forward to hearing from you there and us becoming friends online. I also want to remind you that I have a newsletter that comes out every single Wednesday evening around 6 or 7 p.m. PST that is ever evolving and changing into hopefully what everyone wants to read. I talk about a therapy corner where I share things that I've learned from therapy, and I do there's a part where it's called like random chats, and I'm just like sharing random things. I've also introduced a new column sharing how the week prior went and just sharing how it went and what I've been involved in. I do also always highlight the most recent podcast episodes. I give sneak peeks and updates on how projects that are in the works are coming and all kinds of things. And I'm trying to evolve it even more into something super awesome. Now, I just took a break because I realized that I wanted to include a recipe in this week's newsletter, and I totally created it, but I forgot to add it. Isn't that crazy? So if you actually sign up for the newsletter, which you can do that and become friends online on Instagram or TikTok if you just check the show notes below and click the links. But yeah, you can sign up for the newsletter, and next week that recipe will be in there since it's all ready to go. I created the graphic and the directions and everything. So yeah, sign up for that, and that'll just be another way for you to stay connected to everything that I'm doing. Also, down in the show notes below, there's so many things down there for you to check out. I do want to highlight a couple other things. If you would like to submit a venting session anonymously, if you don't have anyone emotionally available to you in your life, then please do that because you can just get whatever you're feeling off your chest and be able to move on and just kind of have that like weight released from you. There is also another form for you to submit a topic anonymously if you would like to submit a topic for the show. And I won't know that it's you, so if you feel like that is uncomfortable to share that it's from you, but you do want to share it and have me talk about it, please submit it there. I would love to see that. The last thing I want to bring to your attention before we dive into today's topic is that I am accepting like continuous donors on my Patreon. So if you would like to support the show, which is supporting more in-depth research and content and being able to talk about even tougher topics, that I haven't yet gone into, especially in the 4 seasons because we're currently on season 4. And if you would like just to support me having more time, because my goal is by the end of the first quarter, so by the end of March, I will be able to work full time for myself and devote myself to content and creating all kinds of resources for you guys to be blessed with and to better your life with. So if you'd like to donate, please, there is a link to my Patreon down below. You also could just donate a flat amount to Cash App or anything like that, or just send me a DM. Or if you are unable or you just choose not to support financially, that is absolutely totally fine. I get it, and I'm not upset. I'm just saying, like, if you can, that'd be great, and if not, the best way to support me, if you choose not to do so financially, is to just share the show with more people, tell more people to listen and download, and also share it, and I would greatly appreciate that. So let's go ahead and move right in to today's topic, which again is how to manage anxiety as a mom, tips for dealing with anxiety. I sometimes blame myself for how badly my kiddo deals with anxiety because I truly believe she learned it from me. And I absolutely mean that. And I know that a lot of times kids will pick up on the things that we're doing and we're saying, and they're like a sponge, right? Which is why they always say to get your kids in early when they're super young to learn languages and intense like math skills and all of these things because they will just like pick it up just like that. But I am afraid that based upon that knowledge that we know about kids, that I am the one that she picked up anxiety from, And I did my best to put on a brave face anytime I was feeling anxious or heavy hearted in some way, but I'm sure she still felt it. right? I'm sure that she still got it and came across to her. Kids are so, so good at seeing right through you and finding the truth if you aren't careful, right? If you aren't really doing your work to cover up anything that you really don't want them to be exposed to or to latch onto or for it to become their own behavior, right? And there were for sure times I just let my stress, frustrations, and anxieties out for her to witness. I just let it all go, it's like letting your hair down and just living life loosely. And after any outburst that wasn't appropriate or the best choice, I also let her know afterwards, right? I also let her know, hey, mommy should not have done that, or I shouldn't have said that, or if I did do that, I should have done it in private because it really wasn't fair to just like spew all of this word vomit everywhere, right? I'd be very candid and honest with her. And honesty has always been like the policy in our household from the jump because that's always the thing that I wanted. It was the thing that I craved as a child, and I didn't really get that. And I had to find the truth in different ways. And I wanted to foster that environment if we ever had a child, and we did. And we do. So that is like one of the biggest rules in our house is like to be honest no matter what. And I wasn't just gonna like make her uphold that end of that policy, that rule in our house. No, I was also going to do that too. So, I would let her know if I should not have had that outburst, and especially if that meant apologizing to her because I may have chose to react instead of respond and take it out on her. And of course that did happen where we're yelling and screaming and it's like, oh my goodness, what are you doing, Sabrina? You're out of control. So, it's just like that was the extent of it, just yelling and screaming. And I'd be like, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry, kiddo. Like, I should not have done that. Let's talk about how mommy stepped out of the ideal mindset, right? And I'm not saying that necessarily what I did was like the most terrible thing because no one's perfect, right? And as long as I was able to explain to her what happened and apologize if it was necessary, then I felt like it was fine. Because this was such a good opportunity to teach real life lessons and have honest conversations about how, people act and how we should deal with that, right? Whether it's from her stance of viewing and seeing that and witnessing that and how you should act. And then also the person that actually did all of that and spewed all of that word vomit out and how you should act after going through that. Like, what should you realize? What should you like talk about? What should you do with anyone else that was there to witness that? You know what I mean? And so, because I'm very much a let's learn in the moment kind of mom, I do that with like everything. It's probably kind of annoying at some point for sure, but I find it to be the best way to learn life lessons on the go and in the moment, especially like street smart things, because I feel like a lot of times street smarts aren't, and common sense things aren't necessarily learned in school or as easily as they were because, well, I think that this being alive is much more dangerous than it used to be. And so we tend to keep ourselves and keep our kids in a bubble and they don't have the opportunity to learn these common sense street smarts things that kids like us learned when we were kids, right? Because we were just thrusted out there. That's how I feel, at least. And just to learn the world. So yeah, I am definitely a let's learn in the moment kind of mom. And more often than not, I'm talking about a lesson that can be learned in that experience, and that was really helpful when I would let out an anxious like moment, that like just let it all spin out of control because I was able to show our kiddo how to recover and how to be like, okay, well, this is what should have happened, and this is actually what happened as you witnessed, and this is how we can recover from this whole experience, despite the fact that it didn't turn out exactly the ideal way that I would have liked it to, right? And just really having those honest adult grown up conversations so that she understands that number one, I'm not trying to like pretend nothing didn't happen, but also to let her know that this is just the reality of life, right? This sometimes happens. And so, I'm not saying that you should just let it all out and use it as an excuse to teach your kiddo something. Let's be clear about that. Definitely not. It can't be like that all the time. You can't just be like letting your anxiety just out in full roar and bore and then be like, oh, let's just learn something from this, sweetie. It's just the way life is. Like, no, We do need to learn how to respond rather than react. And the times where we do react, then we can like use that as a learning opportunity. But I would not say that we should make this as a habit at all. We need to figure out what will help us manage our anxiety, even under the weight of everything we do as a mom. Because, we have so many responsibilities, we have a lot of things to do. Some moms have more burdens on them than others. And if we are suffering and struggling with anxiety, we should just find the best ways for us to manage that anxiety so it's not trying to like control us or take us out or get in the way of us doing what we find more important, which would be like, hanging out and raising our kids and living our life, right? Also, if you missed it, the episode that released right before this one is all about some common causes of anxiety for moms. So, I talk a lot about like financial pressures, work life balance, things like that, because it's important to draw awareness to what's contributing to our struggles to better understand it and be able to manage it. So, if you would like to listen to the kind of like the first part of this conversation this week, I would listen to the episode that released right before this one and then also continue listening to this one, of course. So, today I want to share with you some tips for actually managing anxiety. And these tips aren't wildly different from what I would share with anyone else that struggles with anxiety, but it's helpful to see your struggle through both your personal perspective as a mom and a wider, more generalized perspective as someone would see it just, generally finding tips for anxiety. So, I do have 5 tips for you today on how to manage anxiety as a mom. Before I jump into that, as always, I want to remind you that all of these tips and this advice is based on my own knowledge and research and my experiences and the experiences of others that I'm allowed to share. If you find that these tips and this advice does not align with you and what you think is right for managing your anxiety, if you're a mom or just in general, I encourage you to seek a counselor or a therapist and figure out what will align best for you to manage your anxiety, and that just might be a better fit, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. If that's the choice you want to make, I wholeheartedly, like, no sarcasm, I do support you in that. If you find that you don't want to find a counselor or a therapist to help you and you still do not align with what I'm sharing, I encourage you to go to our best friend Google and type in how to manage anxiety as a mom. And I bet you're going to find a lot of searches, a lot of blogs, articles, things that you can read, other people's advice that might fit you better than what I'm sharing today. Okay, so let's get into the list. Again, 5 tips for managing anxiety as a mom. So the first one is to prioritize everything you can. I'm so sorry. I'm like breathing deeply. I don't know. I think I'm just so amped up about sharing this. So I apologize for that big, like, breath. Okay, so the first one is prioritize everything you can. So really take the time to really consider what order you should do things in to be as efficient as possible, but also to prevent from forgetting to do something or not be as prepared as you could be. So when you prioritize everything, you're gonna put it in order, whether digitally or physically, like on a piece of paper, and be like, okay, well, these are all the like you can just make one list and then you can go and sort them afterwards. That might be easier because then you can just see everything at once, right? So you're going to sort it in like by what's most important to what's least important. And it's not that anything on the list isn't important, it's just not the most important thing. You know what I mean? So go ahead and sort it by most important to least important and really figure out what would be the most efficient way to do something. So let's say that you have something that's really, really important and then something that's medium important. However, for you to accomplish both of those things in the most efficient way, you have to have those ones back to back. Then you can do that. You can make those choices. You know what I mean? So it's like if, for Wednesday, it's like the most important thing for you to be able to stop by the grocery store, but then also the medium thing that you need to do is to stop by, I don't know, the dry cleaners, right? You're like, I don't really need to go, but I kind of need to go and get your things. And so those things are like worlds apart on your list, but you're like, but they're right next to each other. And that would be the most efficient thing to do. So you just combine them together. Do you know what I mean? So prioritize everything you can. This will help with your anxiety because, again, you're not going to forget to do something because you made a list and you put it in order as most important to least important, and you are able to be efficient, so you're able to, save time or not use extra time that you don't really have. And also by creating the list and then prioritizing it, you are able to be prepared for what's going to happen in your day rather than just being like, oh my gosh, I forgot that I was supposed to make brownies for the bake sale, and now I don't know what to do, and now I gotta hit the grocery store, gotta hit up Safeway and get some brownies to take to the bake sale. You know what I mean? So, make lists, ask for help when you need to do something that conflicts with other things. Think about that when you create your list. And make the difficult choice to also let go of things that just don't fit or don't need to fit, right? So let's say that on your list you do have contributing to the bake sale, but what if you just don't have time? You have extra work to do at work, you have to take your kids to an extra place, you don't have anyone that can do that thing when they take your kid to the extra place. You might just need to be like, nope, I absolutely cannot contribute brownies to the bake sale because I don't have time. It just doesn't fit in the list. And sometimes you're going to have to make those difficult choices. So prioritize everything you can, create that list, ask for help when you need help, like getting things done in the list, and then do not be afraid to make difficult choices. Force yourself to make difficult choices to get rid of things off the list that just don't work or you just don't need. Okay, number 2 is work on being more present. Work on being more present. You can ease your anxiety just a bit by, well, sometimes more than a bit. Let's be clear. But you can ease your anxiety a bit by not focusing so much on what is going to happen in the future or ruminating on what happened in the past. So many times I've caught myself ruminating on what happened in the past, which is a waste of time because you know why? There's nothing we can do about it. Literally zero. It already happened, right? And that's also another reason why people focus so much on the future because they're like, well, there's nothing we can do about the past and the present is just here. So, it's just like, who cares about the present? And then you're so focused on worrying about the future because you don't know what's going to happen. It's unknown. However, you want to be as prepared as possible and basically doubly over prepared. So you're continuously worrying about how things are going to turn out that you miss out on what is happening right now. And that's not good. It's actually really sad. And I didn't always have this stance, I will tell you honestly, in my life. But there are definitely times I will reflect back and be like, man, I wish I was more present with her when we were playing Barbies together, talking about my kiddo, right? Or I wish I was more present when she was playing a video game with my husband, or to see like how that was going, right? I wish I was more present and having time to volunteer at school, which I really didn't because I worked a lot when she was younger. I just kind of wish that I, was more present, and I kind of regret that. And so it's like now, even though she's older, I'm still trying to be as present as I can in her life to really soak all of that in, right? Because we really need to live in the present moment and try to enjoy what is happening right now. There is going to be so much time for the future, and we can't do anything about the past. So let's just leave that, learn your lessons, move on, and leave that back there. And I know that it's cheesy to say this, but the worries the worries will still be there. They'll still be there, living their best lives after we've finished living in the current moment. But the memories you can make right now in the present might not be there. You might not have the opportunity to soak up more time and create deep memories of these moments with your kiddos. And so I do believe that if you work on really focusing on the present and what's happening right now and soaking up that time and those events, you will have less anxiety because you're not constantly worrying about what's going to happen in the future. Because the future is just going to happen, and likely it's not going to happen exactly the way that you anticipated or worried about. It's just going to happen, and you're going to be able to adapt if you don't think too much about it, and it's going to be fine. So work on being more present. Number 3, set boundaries to limit overwhelming commitments. Set boundaries to limit overwhelming commitments. Boundaries are so important. in all aspects of our lives, we need to ensure that we have boundaries in our lives. It's crazy important. And when I think of boundaries and talking about, having limits so that we don't commit too much, we need to protect our energy and our time by putting limits on what you commit to. And this is actually something that my husband likes to talk about with me a lot because he thinks that I overcommit my time. And I don't believe that I do. I believe that he just sees it as overcommitment because I don't always have time to just like chill on the couch with him. But I still make time to do that. And if I have to figure out or switch out a commitment so I do have time to spend an evening with him, then I will do that. But it's something that's so important to remember because we can get so overly involved so quickly, right? And I want you to know that this even goes for things involving your family and your close friends. No one gets a pass in overstepping your boundaries. Absolutely not. So if you are currently allowing people to overstep their bounds because they're family or friends or they're your spouse or your kids or whomever, no, stop doing that. I would highly encourage you 150% stop doing that. No one in your life should get a pass in overstepping your boundaries because one, it makes you weaker for other people that really shouldn't be overstepping your boundaries to be able to overstep because you're already letting people do that. And number two, your boundaries are so incredibly important. And having those and, really actually reinforcing those with everyone can bring so much like confidence and self-worth and belief in yourself because you set them for a reason and you know they're important. So protect your time and energy by putting limits on what you commit to. Set those boundaries even though someone's like, oh my gosh, but you're the only person that does it really good. Please do this. Be like, listen, this might be the time for you to find someone new then so that I can take a break. That kind of thing. You can't be afraid to speak up for yourself and say no when you just can't. You just can't do those things. Number 4, practice self-compassion. Practice self-compassion. So this is a common one. And honestly, I feel like you could apply these to anyone. It doesn't have to just be a mom. But again, it's being focused on seeing it from your perspective. So in regards to practicing self-care as a mom, you need to make sure that you are still taking care of yourself despite taking care of your kiddos and your spouse and anyone else that you feel responsible for or that's in your household, right? Maybe you got the furry friends, all that kind of stuff, right? Give yourself a break when you have moments where you break down or don't keep it together as best you could. So if you do feel like if you do experience an anxiety attack or you have a lot of word vomit where you say things that you really wish you hadn't said, or you're feeling sad, or you just have these moments where you start crying, you just feel overwhelmed, you have these breakdown moments. But be compassionate to yourself and don't hold it against yourself or tell yourself that you're weak or you're any negative things that you would normally need. Because you're not. It's just no one's perfect. You just experience this, and we should acknowledge and honor all emotions. Just because we do that doesn't mean that we have to put action towards all of those, but still, we all deserve to be honored and acknowledged. And remember that everyone experiences anxiety, so you're not alone in these feelings. You're not alone in the fact that you're having anxiety or having a breakdown or crying and you have no reason, you have no idea why. No, I experienced that. There's so many people that have experienced that. You're not alone in it. It's perfectly normal and natural for us to feel anxiety. It's just we need to be aware of when it becomes at a higher rate where it's kind of like controlling our lives or it's getting in the way of us living our everyday lives. You know what I mean? As our best selves. So, you're not alone in this. It's just that anxiety will manifest itself in different ways for everyone. So just because you experience it one way doesn't mean someone else will experience it that way, and it doesn't mean that the way that you're experiencing it is wrong or bad, or their way isn't, right? It's just the way that you're experiencing it. So I would really encourage you to practice self-compassion. You will have less anxiety about having like an anxiety attack or dealing with anxiety or feeling the pressure of that if you are nice to yourself, if you are forgiving to yourself, if you're telling yourself, this is okay, I'm going to be okay. It's not like the end of the world that I'm feeling this way. It's okay. I love myself. I need to take care of myself. Maybe I need a little break. Self-compassion will go a long way in helping you manage your anxiety because you're not constantly beating yourself up for having anxiety. So it's like a double-edged sword, man. It's a double-edged sword. Okay, number 5, and the last one that I have to share with you for tips on how to manage your anxiety as a mom is make having a support system a top priority. Make having a support system a top priority. So it's important for you to let go of the excuses. This is really just going to be calling everyone out, even myself. Let go of the excuses for why you aren't making friends and stepping outside of your comfort zone to try new activities or see if a group is good for you. Like if you see a group of ladies at like church, or if you see them at like an after school activity or part of some club at school or whatever, right? We got to let go of the excuses for why we're not trying. Why we're not trying. And this is so important. I actually just filmed like a quick little thought video about how I believe that a lot of times, we come up with these excuses for why we can't find friends, and it's very common for adults to struggle to find new friends. But we come up with these excuses for why we can't find friends because we are all caught up in the things that we don't like about ourselves, the things that we want to fix about ourselves, because often we're like, oh, well, we're so weird, or we can't find anyone that's into this super cool thing that we're into, and we don't want to put ourselves out there because it's scary. But also, I feel like we're just like internally so unhappy and unsure about who we are that there's no way that we're going to put ourselves out there, because we're definitely just going to be out there raw, vulnerable, and really scared. And so I think one of the first things to do is let go of excuses for why you aren't doing those things, finding those friends, and then go try to find them. Someone else on the planet has the same interests as you. I guarantee it. There's so many people that live in this world. There has to be at least one, right? And you can find support wherever it fits you best. It's just important to really prioritize having a support system in your life. That could be your family or your friends or a combo of those, or people that you know at church, maybe even like people that you know at the gym or another activity that you attend. Maybe you do tennis, or maybe you do like some sort of group, right? They can be the support that you want in your life. And I'm not saying they have to be available at your beck and call, where you can call them anytime and they'll just like show up or whatever. But make sure that the support that you have is around enough that you have real below surface level relationships with them. And you talk about real things. You talk about the hard things that you're going through and then you're dealing with, and things that you're second guessing yourself about, and being like mildly vulnerable with them. And bonus points if they are emotionally available often for you to vent to. So you have someone to share those things with and get them off your chest and move forward. So make having a support system a top priority in your life so that you don't feel like you're doing life alone. And this could mean that even outside of like your spouse and your kids, and even like your siblings or parents, like if those people just don't feel like the best support system for you, find other people. That's totally fine. It's not always automatically going to have to be your family or even your closest friends. Sometimes you just need support from a different perspective, a different part of your life, because it does offer a new, wider perspective and different ideas on how to get through things and solve things. And that could be so valuable, like incredibly. But yeah, make having a support system a top priority so that when you are struggling with your anxiety, you have someone to call, someone to lean on, someone to help you out if they can, and someone to even just talk you down from feeling like you're going to have a full-blown anxiety attack. But that is all 5 of the tips I have for managing anxiety as a mom. You guys, I hope that it's been like so super helpful for you. And again, if you're not a mom, maybe this will help you help other moms or understand other moms better, or you're just a mom and you're like, this okay, now I have very good tips I can just like go off of for the next couple weeks and tweak them and see how they fit you best. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast again with me, Sabrina. And thank you so much for listening and downloading the show and sharing. And I want to encourage you to share the show It's a very easy, free way to support me, and I would be so grateful if you did that. Also, make sure you check the show notes below to connect with me on social, sign up for the weekly newsletter, contribute to the Patreon, submit topic suggestions, and do all of those things. But until next time, have a good one, and I will see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.